You probably already know the kind of questions that you'll face from other board members about the completed reserve study. Challenges like, can we afford the recommendations? And won't high assessments hurt home sales? And you also need to prepare for owner questions like, why do I have to set money aside for projects that won't even happen until long after I'm gone? No worries. In this section of our Breaking Down the Reserve Study webinar, we'll go through how to handle these common questions and challenges, setting you up with effective word choices and communication strategies to help get everyone on the same side. What's best for the association?
Now it's time to talk about communicating results. You have that reserve study, you have looked it over, you've perhaps identified or circled or jotted down the 3 key results, tabbed where the component list is, tabbed your starting percent funded, tabbed where the recommendation is for funding. But now it's your job to communicate those results to everyone else. So let me give you a little bit of help going through that process. There is a strategy that we can set you up for so you will have success. So you're here at the board meeting, you're here at the committee meeting, and remember that one of the first questions is, by golly, that recommendation, that funding recommendation is a lot of money. That's why we didn't want to get a reserve study, because now it's going to make all our assessments go up. Well, I want to clarify that reserve project costs are what they are. The reserve study doesn't make anything more expensive at your association. And so it's not an issue of we can or can't afford that. Reserve projects are what they are. All we're doing is helping you see the future, because things are deteriorating every day at your association. Now, classically, there's 3 ways to respond. You can respond with doing nothing, and that means that you'll just go from special assessment to special assessment to special assessment, always being surprised. It's a real bumpy road for your homeowners. It's real unfair, because they may own there in a few years where there's just tremendous expenses, or they may be there in a few years where there's not very many expenses. Or you can catch loans to help the association. That's pretty darn expensive. Or you can do with budgeted assessments, just paying what the association is deteriorating along the way. And you're wondering what that third point is? The third point is loss in home value. This is the most expensive way to pay for the deterioration at the association, because it draws down property values. And it's going to make the budgeted assessments of $50 or $100 a month or the $1,000 special assessment look cheap, because what we're talking about here is more than 10%. If you baseline an association's home values when the association is 0 to 30% funded, that weak zone that I spoke about a few moments ago, the homes in associations right next door to it that are otherwise identical have a strong reserve fund, over 70%. Home values there typically sell for 12.6% more on average. So think about it, 10% difference in home value. If you've got a $500,000 condo, we're talking about $50,000 here. And that's going to make a few more dollars more a month pretty darn seem trivial. So keep that in mind. Okay, choose your words carefully. Make sure you're talking about the funding needs of the association, not contributions. Contributions have that basic connotation of a voluntary thing. It's something benevolent that you're doing for someone or something else. Reserve funding is also not for the future. It offsets ongoing deterioration. It's not a contribution for a rainy day. Again, that sounds like a nice thing to do, but not our problem. It's not for padding. It's not for emergencies. Again, in reserves, we're talking about the deterioration of the roof, the asphalt, the boiler, the chiller, the elevator, the carpet. These are planned obsolescence, planned deterioration type projects. We're not touching the idea of emergencies here. Reserve funding offsets ongoing deterioration, so everyone's paying their fair share and the association doesn't run itself into the ground. And besides, when you do the math, reserve funding is not a lot of money. If you take that big reserve funding recommendation, divide it by the number of homeowners, divide it by 12 months per year, you're going to find out that reserve funding on a daily basis is about a cup of coffee per day. It's not a lot of money. So people are going to kick and scream. And when they kick and scream and have their Starbucks or whatever they have in their hand, you and I know that if they can afford that premium coffee drink, they can afford reserve funding. Okay? It's not a big expense. It's just part of owning a home and maintaining that home's maximum value and keeping it in a condition where its value is appreciating. Okay?
At Association Reserves, we make the present less stressful and the future more secure. If you want to join us in this mission, please like this video and subscribe to our channel. Leave a comment down below on what you'd like to see us address in a future video. Let's plan for your best future.